Welcome back to another episode of After the License, the podcast where we help real estate agents build their business. I'm your host, Jeff Buettner. As always, if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. We have YouTube-specific trainings, as well as a ton of goodies in that description. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you can listen to a lot of these episodes when you're driving to your next listing or walking the dog or whatever that looks like. Today, we're going to talk about what I think is the key to sales in 2021 and beyond. And this is the key to sales, not just for real estate, but I really think for anything in the day and age we're at and where we're headed. And so I talk about this a ton with agents I talk to and people I'm recruiting to my team and all that stuff, right? And that is, you have to want what the client wants, right? You have to come from a place of value, and you ultimately have to want what the client wants. You have to want what's best for them. And that really is, in my opinion, the key to sales. And really what I'm saying there is sales is dead. Sales don't exist anymore. You can't sell someone on something, especially something as big as real estate, right? You can't convince someone to buy something if they don't want to buy it, right? And you can't convince someone to sell their house if they don't want to sell their house. So all of this training and all of these scripts and all of these things that people have, these like little trick things, in my opinion, don't work that well because people can sense when you're not coming from a place of value and you don't want what they want. And so in my opinion, that is the actual trick to sales, is to be the person that really wants what's best for the end consumer. And if you can take that mindset and you can incorporate it into your database, your sphere of influence, or referrals you get, or the clients you're working with, or the person who registers on your website, if you can call them up and really truly want whatever it is they want, maybe they just want to browse on your website for 3 years. If you're good with that from a really truly sincere place, if you feel like, hey, if it's good for them, it's good for us. If you can come from that mindset, I promise you'll have more sales than you can ever handle. It's the people that do the opposite. It's the people that have someone register on their website and they're trying to convert them tomorrow, even though you know nothing about their situation. You don't know if they're just browsing or if they live out of state and you're just trying to get them in your car to go look at homes. It's those people that end up struggling. At the end of the day, people, today's day and age, can sense, when you're just doing something because you want the transaction or you just want a paycheck, and they can sense when you're making them feel uncomfortable, right? And so don't come from a place of trying to force someone into something, right? Again, with real estate, it feels almost impossible to be able to do that anyway, so why you would try is beyond me. But if you can really truly come from a place of value, people can build a sense of trust with that, right? We always talk about people that know you, that like you, and trust you. Well, if they can trust you, right, and they feel like you're going to be able to provide them value, then they're going to like you, right? And if they already know you, then you're checking off all three of those boxes. And again, if you do the opposite, if you come from a salesy approach, if you come from trying to convince someone to do something versus just trying to figure out what are they trying to do, right? Are they just looking on your website because they might have to relocate next year? Well, that person's not going to want to jump in your car next week to look at homes regardless, right? Regardless if you convince them to do it or not. And so trying to force that on them is going to make the situation uncomfortable. They're going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel awkward. And they're not going to actually be sure if you have their best interest in heart. They're just going to kind of feel like you want to do it for the transaction. So in my opinion, the number one key to sales is to not be salesy. Come from a place of value, want what the consumer wants, listen to the consumer, listen to the person who's on the other end of the phone. People don't want to be sold anything. And so come from a place of value, listen, want what the consumer wants, and you'll be able to close more deals than you ever could imagine. Okay, guys, I hope this was helpful. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this content. Drop a comment. What do you think about kind of the non-sales sales approach? And as always, I'll catch you next time.